I'm just gonna come out and say that I did not enjoy the original Black Phone movie. I really wanted to. I don't really take pride in saying that. I remember when it came out and I saw the original trailers, I was really excited, and my viewing experience just fell a little bit flat. But I did really want to give The Black Phone 2 a chance, mostly because the premise is a little bit different. There's some different elements to this one, and I thought maybe that would change the way that I felt about the overall characters and story. And I don't know. I don't know if that saved it, to be completely honest. So, this, of course, is the sequel to the 2021 movie The Black Phone. This one is written and directed by Scott Derrickson. It also has some writing credits from Joe Hill, who is, of course, Stephen King's son, as well as C. Robert Cargill, who did some writing on the first one as well. This movie stars Mason Thames, Madeline McGraw, and Ethan Hawke, all reprising their roles from the first movie. And so this one has a little bit of change of scenery. It does start in the main character's hometown in Colorado, but it quickly shifts to a mountainside winter camp, which feels like a very Colorado thing to exist. As Finn, now 17, struggles with life after his captivity, his sister begins receiving calls in her dreams from the Black Phone and seeing disturbing visions of three boys being stalked at a winter camp known as Alpine Lake. So it wouldn't be a modern horror movie without some themes around intergenerational trauma, and kind of exploring the aftermath of experiencing a traumatic event. Right, we're following Finn and his sister and even his dad a little bit after he had been kidnapped by the grabber in the first movie. And so I think this movie really follows that storyline a lot more than it does lean into like the grabber's story. I don't remember the first movie having so much of a religious theme and undertone. This movie has a very strong like Christian undertone, which like is fine. I don't really have an issue with it. It's just very blatant, and it kind of like took me out a little bit. Like I wasn't. It's just it felt strange for a movie that wasn't about like exorcisms, right? Because you have exorcism movies that have like a really strong basis in like Catholicism, but this movie had just like a lot of like little throwaway lines about Jesus, which again is not like an issue, but it was just I don't know. It felt purposeful and kind of strange to me, to be completely honest. So the big thing about this one is that Scott Derrickson inserts some like VHS type um, filter. I'm not sure if it's a filter or if he filmed it differently, but it has that kind of grainy, like old 80s VHS. It felt very Skinamarink to me, but I doubt that's I doubt that was what he was going for. But I think it's supposed to be an homage to like 80s slashers. The whole movie feels very much like an homage and sort of meta in that way. There's a lot of references to other horror movies in this one, which I'll talk about, mostly in spoilers. The movie looks good. The VHS style scenes are really cool. The setting I think is really unique and is kind of a fun little twist on the like 80s camp slasher. Obviously, because those ones tend to be like summertime, right? Because how are you gonna get like booby shots of teenagers in the wintertime, which obviously this movie is trying not to do, or not trying to do. So if you're looking for that part of 80s horror homage, it is missing from this movie. Everyone is wearing lots of jackets because it is very, very cold, which is fine, which is fine. I think that overall the performances were effective. I struggle with child and teen actors sometimes. I just, it's something about it feels very dramatic a lot of the time. And so the line reading can be just like very over the top. And sometimes that takes me out of it. I think they also didn't do Madeline McGraw a lot of favors with her dialogue. I saw a review on Letterboxd saying that a lot of her lines were very similar to the Sprouse twin that's in Riverdale. I'm so sorry, I don't know which one it is. But he has that line about, like, well, I'm cool. I'm a cool guy. Or, no, not cool, weird. Weird, I'm weird. I don't know. Anyway, she has a lot of lines about being like, oh, like I don't want this burden, these dreams, like I'm weird and I don't fit in, and I just kind of cringe and like overstated. And so a lot of the lines and a lot of the line reads had me kind of struggling with this one. I think Mason Thames did a great job. I think he's sort of coming into um, more of like a serious career as an actor. I don't know. He's got to be like an adult of some kind now. I think his role as Finney was very interesting. Like, he did justice to the character and sort of the development after this significant trauma. So I appreciated that. Um, Ethan Hawke was fine. I don't know. I'll talk about the grabber a little bit more in spoilers. Overall, we'll just say it was fine. Like, the performances were fine. The music was fun. Another homage to like 80s horror. There's a lot of like synthy little musical bits. So overall, the execution was good. Just a little choppy in there with the dialogue. This movie had a lot of jump scares, so just be prepared for that. I think that was sort of what carried the frights in this one. Um, it was a little bit gorier, I'll say, than the original. There were a lot of like gory moments, especially in the VHS scenes, the VHS tape scenes. So I enjoyed that. There were some cool like visual gimmicks. This isn't really a spoiler because it's in the trailer, but there's one shot where one of the characters is like spun really fast as they are bleeding, and the blood like splatters everywhere, and that's like a really cool visual. Um, so I don't know. I This movie wasn't super effective for me horror wise. I didn't find it to be like very scary. But it is, it has some tense moments, it has some jump scares, and it has some relatively effective gore. So the next section I'll talk spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled for the Black Phone 2, definitely go check it out in theaters. Okay, so getting into spoilers, and a bit disrespect to this movie, I apologize in advance. I really don't find the grabber to be an effective villain. That is the first thing that I want to complain about. In my recollections of this movie, I had thought that the original was PG-13, and I had created sort of this narrative around that as like, oh, it was PG-13, like that's why it wasn't as like gnarly as maybe I had wanted it. But I went back and looked, and it is rated R. And that just made me so much more bummed about the first one. And my biggest issue with the grabber is that I don't think he is like nasty enough. Like, I get that he's supposed to have this kind of like Freddy Krueger child molester story where that's like the implication, right, of like why he is kidnapping these kids. And it's so understated. Like, I'm not asking for like gratuitous, like, child violence. But I just didn't like buy it as like, I just didn't, I don't know, like he was very like vague and very mild in his way of interacting with Finney in the first movie, and I feel like so much was just kind of based in this like implication, which again is fine. It's just not effective for me. Like I didn't find him creepy, I didn't find him spooky. I just found him to be like kind of a drag. Like he takes so long to do whatever it is that he's gonna do. And then I mean, there's a few like scenes that stood out to me from the first one. There's a scene where he's sitting at the top of the stairs, like shirtless, like waiting for Finney to come up the stairs, and then he like falls asleep. I don't remember if that was on purpose or not to like build the tension or whatever, but I just like do something. I mean, to me, it was like he was sort of just, he waited so long that it made sense that he got caught eventually because damn, dude, like really just, and maybe that's like the psychological, supposed to be the psychological part of it. I don't know. It doesn't work for me, and it really doesn't work for me in the second one either. He just feels so bleh compared to the rest of the story. Like he just feels like an afterthought, whereas he's supposed to be like the face of this franchise. But like I don't care for it. I don't care about it. In this one, he really leans into that Freddy Krueger effect, where he obviously, because he is killed in the first movie, and so in this one he is back and sort of tormenting Gwen through her dreams, right? And so he's able to like manipulate the real world through her dreams. And it didn't make him scarier, honestly. If anything, it kind of made him a little bit more boring because he just like nobody else could really see him. And I don't know. He as a character, it does not work for me. It's not effective for me at all. Like in terms of frights, I think the most effective thing in these two movies is the scene in the first one with their dad, where he's essentially threatening to beat Gwen about her dreams. And they have this back and forth where he's making her say that her dreams are just dreams. And that interaction is so like tense and like uncomfortable and frightening, and that sticks with me more than literally anything the grabber does. Like I feel I feel like in the first movie the dad is a more effective villain to me than he is. And then in the second movie they kind of just, I don't know, he apologizes and like stops drinking, I guess, and like tries to be a good dad, which is cool and whatever, but I don't know. I also felt like there weren't a lot of very good decision makers in this movie. They kept separating, like later on in the movie, once Finn and Gwen had kind of told the adults what was going on, and they started to believe it because they were seeing all the supernatural stuff. They keep separating. They go into like separate spaces and separate rooms and are like doing all this stuff. And I'm just like, stay together. What is going on? And one of the characters goes to like dig because they I guess they have to find the grabber's original victims, and these are like the kids that Gwen has been seeing in her dreams, blah blah blah, whatever. And I don't know. There's just so many things that I just don't I don't get it. Because apparently these kids went missing and they didn't think to check the lake. Like they obviously have the technology to do so because they do it in this one. Like they didn't think that someone would maybe dig a hole and in the ice and put the kids' bodies in there. Like it just like it's obvious to me at least. I don't know. So that's like the whole like later half of the movie is trying to find these kids' bodies. And one of the adult characters goes and is like doing this by himself at night and like falls through the ice because the grabber grabs him. Um, and just things like that, like I don't it's just I haven't felt this in a while in a horror movie where I'm just like these decisions don't make sense, like these people are acting dumb, they should know. I don't know, I just there were so many moments where I was just like internally screaming because I was like, why are we doing this? And they honestly already lost me with the drive up to this camp in that vehicle. I know it's the 80s, but that vehicle. And also, I know that the dad of the two kids is not really father of the year material, But the other kid who went up there, you're telling me his parents uh, were like, yeah, definitely drive up a mountain in this car in the middle of the night. I don't know, just felt like it's a miracle that they even made it, to be honest. And just so happens that they were able to call everybody else before they left. And they obviously left super late because they get there in like the middle of the night. So I don't know, just silly decision making all around. Also, there's a big exposition dump about the kid's mom and how she, because it was established in the first movie that she was having these dreams and that she apparently killed herself because of it. But then it's revealed that she went to investigate and then the grabber killed her. And I don't know if it was just a flaw of the way that they posed the flashback, but you mean to tell me that this woman goes to a man's house that she thinks is a serial killer, like a child serial predator, and does it, number one, does it at night. Number two, doesn't tell anyone that she's doing it or like call the police. Like I get that I don't know. It feels like silly, goofy. I don't know, just like poor decision making, and then it just, I don't know, I don't care about it also. And then the grabber, in this dream sequence where he's showing Gwen this whole thing is like, oh, I want to do you a kindness or something like that. Like you, the like serial child murderer predator, he's not making himself any scarier in this one. The mask doesn't do enough to make this man scary. He is just boring. He's boring. I find him boring. I'm so sorry. And so is my dog, apparently. I have to say, and this might put me in hot water with some of y'all, but I don't think that this is the movie for me because I really don't like the dead kid trope. Not because I have like trouble with kids dying in horror movies. Like I think it can be effective if done correctly, but dead kid ghosts, unless you really hit the lottery with child actors, which you probably wouldn't for like a small role like this, it just feels corny. Like the line reads feel corny. It looks corny to me. It's just not effective for me. It really, and then this movie where very little feels effective, that just is another nail in the coffin for me, unfortunately. And like I said, this one really leans into its homages. It's very much, you know, throwing references to a lot of different horror movies. It's definitely got some Friday the 13th, it's got some Nightmare on Elm Street. It sort of shot for shot uses the ice skating scene from Curtains, which kind of bummed me out. I don't know. I guess it's kind of fun to see, but the whole reason that that shot in that movie is effective for me, is because it's during the day and it feels so out of place and like spooky. But this is happening when everything is already spooky, and so just him ice skating feels kind of like forced and goofy to me. Um, I don't know. It's just a lot of grabber hate. I'm so sorry. It's not for me. If it's for you, if you liked it, no shade, but it doesn't work for me. It really, really, really doesn't. And because it doesn't work for me, I am going to give it a 2 out of 5. I gave the original a 1.5 out of 5. I think this one gets more points for me just because of the setting and um, the VHS tape effect and some of the like extra gore. It's not one that I'll rewatch, and if they keep going with the franchise, I can't say that I mean, I'll probably go, but I won't be excited about it unless they really come up with something and make the grabber super grabby and gross. So I don't know. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't really love doing these more negative reviews, but I will be seeing Shelby Oaks this weekend, and I have really high hopes for that one. So hopefully, the next review will be a little bit more positive. And if you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate all the support. Please drop me a like and subscribe to my channel. I also make short form content on Instagram and TikTok, and you can follow me on Letterboxd.